Welcome back, guys. A lot of stuff's going on that I'm trying to keep track of. Speaking of, to get our latest music and updates for JMC Ministries, go to reverbnation.com/JMC Ministries, and you can sign up for our mailing list. We'll send you our weekly newsletter. You can download our music for free. All music is free. You don't have to pay for anything. So you can check it out at any time that you want. Back to the breaking news of the day. Now, I've had a hard time debating what to talk to you guys about because there's so much happening, and it makes me want to have a longer show or maybe another day of a show because I'm trying to keep track of everything. It's getting way out of hand. The weather. More weather and snow in the U.S. is getting out of control. That's pretty much the gist of it. You don't have to get any more in-depth than that. And then we have these blackouts in Texas and Arizona and New Mexico with natural gas and electricity in the other countries. I just think it's another sign that things are changing. God is moving and revealing himself through these natural disasters. There's no reason, like I have always said, personally, I hate the snow. I want to go back to Texas. Well, you know what? I got friends on my Facebook, and they're showing, 4 inches of snow, and I'm upset. To be honest, I'm like, I don't want the snow. I don't like snow, but that's just me.
Well, be happy because we don't have any right now.
We don't have any snow. It's probably going to come tomorrow. Another thing, Republicans in the House did pass to appeal Obamacare. Then it goes to the Senate, and it got turned down in the Senate.
I know. But at least they tried.
Now Republicans are trying to do spending cuts. See, this is why I just love how everyone wants to work together. And I'm going to show this to you. This is what, New York Times. I don't know why people can't get it together. But they can't get it together. $32 billion budget cut proposed. I know that's really small. And
compared to the 14
if you want, there's a video on YouTube where this dude's got a bunch of pennies on a table. And he says what $32 billion would look like, or even $1 billion or something would look like. He takes a penny and he takes wire cutters and he cuts it into 4 halves. And he puts one of those halves back on the table and says, that's a $32 billion cut. There's like a whole table. So half this, about 60% of the table, we have to spend. If you don't spend, everything shuts down. On this other side, you don't have to. It's borrowed money. I don't understand why we have to continue to get in such levels.
And a lot of this money is being borrowed from China.
And that's the other thing. I've taken economics and I'm taking accounting right now. This borrowing and this money we don't have, it's just not lining up on accounts receivable and accounts payable. I'm not seeing balanced borrowed versus how much owed. It doesn't line up. Because we don't have the money. We're getting it from someone else. They don't have the money. So technically...
Well, China says they have the money.
If you're like me, honestly, money does not really exist.
Remember, China made the statement saying, any country...
Oh, China wants to bail out the EU, yeah.
Yeah, they say, anybody who's in need, come to China. We will bail you out.
So what's happening, at least I personally feel, money is a figment of our own imaginations. We can say that my glass here is half full or half empty or a quarter full. It's whatever you want to say it is. I could say this is worth $1. You could say it's worth 25 cents.
Yeah.
We could all get whatever out of this that we want.
It just depends on how much people are willing to pay.
And here's the scary part. Here's the very, very big scary part. When the Antichrist does finally reveal himself, he's going to say something similar to what I'm about to tell you, because this is kind of a prophetic thing. All this money that's owed everyone is just going to get wiped out. Because we're going to be in such debt at this point when the end times comes, no one will be able to pay anyone back. And that's what's happening. Every country is spending all this money to where eventually you're going to need to depend on the whole world to even function. Because everybody wants to have a piece of the pie and get to this certain level. And we're going to fall apart and implode. You know, and we're just doing it because of greed. You know, the end times have to come because sin is so rampant in the world. Well, for sin to be completely rampant in the world, it's not just sex debauchery stuff, folks. It's about money. All countries are going to be bankrupt. And we're all going to have to partner together and do all this weird, crazy stuff. That's why these marks of the beast are going to come into play, because there's going to be all these disasters, and they're going to want to attract people because things are so dangerous, and they're going to want to have this big extra eye looking down upon you. If anyone's studied history and listened to anything that has happened, you would understand that a time comes when Christianity, even here in America, will be at peril. And if you don't think it is right now, look at some of the major denominations in the United States, and I read stuff on Christian Post, and I read stuff in the papers, and I hear time and time again, okay, this kind of sin is not as bad as this kind of sin, so therefore this person could be in leadership, or because of this thing is what's the fad of today, we're going to bring it into the church, and then what you're doing doesn't matter anymore because you're too old. And it's division. It's discord. Discord, division is a soul tie that is a generational curse that can be passed down through generations, and that's what brings the end time. You know, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and you know, I don't think people understand exactly what's happening and how we can get there. Which leads to another thing. We were talking about partnerships with other countries. Canada is a good ally, depending on who you talk to, ally with the U.S., and they have a potential opportunity to assist the United States in a big way. Check this out. This is Fox News. And this is more about countries combining to work together. And it's not a completely creepy bad thing. But check this out. Check this out. Canada Prime Minister Harper urges U.S. to approve of oil pipeline. Now you guys know Canada and certain parts of the U.S. already have Canadian to United States pipelines. This article is actually talking about taking a pipeline from Canada and going all the way down to the refineries in Texas. A 1,900-mile pipeline from Alberta, Canada to Texas. $7 billion pipeline. Reduce the dependency on oil from the Middle East and other places. It can almost eliminate the Middle East, crude reports. Here's one of the problems. The United States, with Canada, Texas, Florida, and other places, Hawaii, and some of our territories all over the world, have stated because of either coral reefs or certain types of fish, or it's too close to the land, and not just because it's dangerous to drill. They don't want to disturb the habitats of the life by drilling into such ground, or it's because they're afraid of a disaster. There has been found in the Gulf and off the coast of California, there are oil reserves, and even oil reserves in Colorado near Yellowstone Park. I don't know what it's going to take for the U.S. to go ahead and find a way to drill, or find a way to get this oil out somehow. I mean, yeah, we're going to have to drill. I don't know what else you can do unless you drill a hole into this oil, and then you somehow magically put some kind of solution into it to make it all nice, happy, and pretty. I don't think anyone's got the technology for any of that yet, and that's part of the problem. We need technology and scientists and people that want to go to school to upgrade our power grid. I mean, we have states right now that are out of power. California will probably be next if they got hit by another storm. Normally they do during the summer, they go out. But Texas, Arizona, with its natural gas, our grids need updating. We need stuff like this to pass. And with the
stop
Middle East,
depending on other countries who are out to con us, use us, abuse us, and inevitably bankrupt us.
yeah, they say you can make over 500,000 barrels a day
Through this proposed pipeline. Oil pipeline.
Because if they make the pipeline go into Texas, that means Canada could possibly get contracts in the Gulf to do stuff too. And that's the thing. We could have pipelines going like mad crazy into Texas and Florida and California. It's just we choose not to.
Yeah.
We choose not to do this. And I understand you want to protect people, but there's going to come a time when it's going to be too late and we're not going to have the money to do anything. It's just going to sit there, and what happens, worst case scenario, our country falls, because if we continue to spend this money, we are going to be downgraded to a second world country. Mm-hmm. We're very close. All we need is a couple more $1 trillion. And
America used to be a self-sufficient country.
Yeah.
That is what we set out to be.
I mean, that's what that Jeffersonian idea was about.
And it is totally not what we have become.
It was supposed to be about working on yourself and not depending on other governments or even the government of ourselves
to take care of us.
Now we've become this global entity that wants to figure everything out and try and solve the world. Well, when the world doesn't want to solve its own problems and you have your own, at some point somebody is going to have to step in and make a change. It's going to get crazy. It's going to get bad. And on another note, I'm going to share real quick, and I know I probably talked about this before. It's just something I'm thinking about. Reproductive rights and reproductive technology by 2030. We've been talking about the end times, and we've been talking about stuff, and so you guys can see I'm really looking at what I'm looking at here. This is a Brookings.edu paper. This is a college paper about John A. Robinson, Vincent and Elkins Chair in Law, the University of Texas Law School, the Brookings Institution. I'm going to read the introduction paragraph to this. This is sexual in nature and it will offend you. Just be prepared. Larry, a pediatrician, and David, a wills lawyer, meet in their late 20s. They fall in love and marry on June 15, 2025 in Indianapolis. 3 years later, they take in a foster child for 8 months. Find experience rewarding. In 2030, they're established enough in their careers and they want their own child. Larry's 24-year-old sister Marge has agreed to donate her eggs. David will provide the sperm so each partner will have a genetic connection with the child. They work with an agency that matches couples with gestational surrogates. They settle on Janice, a 34-year-old nurse and a mother of 2, who's willing to help them in exchange for a $75,000 fee.
But we have to say real quick. We have to say this is a hypothetical.
Yeah, this is hypothetical. This is
not actually happening. This is a hypothetical thing.
This is what they're going. This is what they're trying to create by 2030. What they want to do, and I'll explain the next 2 paragraphs without going into much detail. What they want to do is to take the male genes that are linked to the homosexual orientation and to create an embryo that is not only male or female, but what physical traits it will have and what sexual activity it will have. Now the Bible is very clear.
Well, basically what they want is to create, they want to create by 2030.
Yeah.
You can choose whether or not to have your child a homosexual or straight.
Now they know they can't do a cloning by 2030. They know we're not far enough along for that. But they believe they can figure out some more of these DNA sequencings and things. And they think they've almost found it. This is February 4th, 2011. And they say 25 some odd years from now, they honestly believe, and this is a real article because you can see this, that these people will eventually be able to have these types of children. Things are getting out of control. And it's going very quick. And stories like that break my heart because I know people want to have kids, and people like people, and I understand that. And there's homosexuals and lesbians all over the world who honestly love each other. But that does not mean it's biblical. That does not mean if you want to have a relationship with God that it's okay after hearing this message to continue to live in that such lifestyle. I understand people who will admit that I am a sinner, not an addiction, but a sinner. There's a difference. Because people who say they have an addiction believe that they can never change. As a Christian, yes, you have an addiction to sin. You cannot change. You need Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior to change you, your heart, your mind, and your soul, and to transform you from the inside out. That does not mean you're not going to be tempted to do things. But God will provide a way for you to withstand the temptations. And you might have to be like Joseph and just run away. Turn the other cheek. Don't say anything. Stop being friends with this person.
While all this stuff is going on in Egypt,
here's the crazy part. What I just said is illegal in over 51 countries.
Mm-hmm.
But another part is there's people in other countries, if they were found out to be homosexual, they would be killed.
Yeah. But see, this
Very
is why
strange world
we're
we live
sharing. This is why we're sharing the news that isn't being talked about really because of everything going on in Egypt.
Yeah.
This is what is going on in the world and what is in other headlines.
Everyone's busy looking at Egypt. They're not thinking about what bills and laws are being passed in the U.S. They're not thinking about studies and things such as this nature because everyone's all focused on we need to all have equal rights. And I understand people having equal rights. But when your Christian faith is actually put under a microscope and you choose sin over serving God, that is no longer about a person's individual right. Because if you mark, that's okay, it's not their choice anymore. Mm-hmm. It is your choice. Yes, I know people are going to do what they want to do on their own. You don't have control of anyone else's free will but yourself. But when someone brings up a topic like this, and you say, I don't have a problem with it, then you made a choice saying it's okay. What happens when your kid says, I'm gay, or whatever is going to happen next? Now you can create your own kids. Now they're going to say, well, you don't have a choice anymore. It's just the way it is. I'm like, eventually, different lifestyles, and if you look at the history of what happened in Rome, that's the same excuse the Romans gave. Mm-hmm. It's okay to have sex with animal because it loves me and I love it. And it's okay to have sex with kids because, well, they're happy and, it's no big deal. Or, we're going to have a coliseum and we're going to kill animals. We're going to kill people. We'll have animals kill people. Why? Because people like it. It's okay. It's no big deal. We can just bring your 5-year-old. No problem. The more you tolerate things, the more you will put up with things, and the more your yes will become, it's okay. You will be desensitized, just like the Romans in Sodom and Gomorrah. That's what we're becoming. The world is becoming worse than the Romans and worse than Sodom and Gomorrah because eventually everyone's going to have a right to do everything. There might be, just don't kill anyone. But then again, in the U.S. and across the world, people get killed for committing crimes. It's all a matter of majority vote, unless you're a dictatorship. Christians are not the majority anymore. Especially in the United States. We might be maybe 3%, if you're lucky. But that's just people saying they believe in God. Not purposely, day in, day out, trying to serve the Lord. It's tricky. So that's it for today's JMC Live. We will be back next week on Friday at 9 p.m. for our Valentine's Day show. And then there will be a concert Saturday on the 12th. So we'll see you next week. And God bless. Bye-bye.